Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech Podcast series. This is Lakshit Pant from Azure Developer Community, and we are back here again with our the Tech Podcast series with our industry leader from Vantage Circle. And today we are having Mr. Anjan Pathak, sir, the founder of Vantage Circle, and today we'll be discussing. He's building a mental wellness platform of around the ecosystem. So we will try to understand his thoughts about the industry, what goes in the market. There has been lots of repercussions that are going in the market for past 2-3 years. So we'll try to understand how he's solving the problem. So let's start with a quick introduction of Anjan sir. So if you could quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi Lakshit. Thanks for having me here. And thanks for the kind introduction. My name is Anjan Pathak. I am the co-founder and CTO at Vantage Circle. What we do is we do create employee engagement platform. We are a B2B SaaS player. So we have got primarily four products: Vantage Rewards, Vantage Parks, Vantage Pulse, and Vantage Fit. So these four products in total, right, kind of encompasses all kinds of employee engagement, efforts that a corporate employer can take, and that's the idea. Basically, we are a one-stop solution for employee engagement solutions.
I wanted to know, sir, from a background perspective, how did you came through this idea? Talk when we say from a startup perspective, from a building up, your organization perspective. How has been this kick that came to your mind? Like let's try to build something on mental wellness. We can definitely say it's a very huge area or market to tap in, right? Mental wellness is the biggest problem in the industry that exists right now due to maybe post COVID, after uses of multiple smartphones and multiple things, right? After the remote culture, this has been a big problem. So how has you landed up to this, building to this?
Yeah, so to be very honest, we never thought initially that fitness or wellness, in a way, will be part of employee engagement. This thing, but it's actually recently that this wave has come now that every company now, as part of employee engagement, they are taking wellness platforms. But initially, we built this platform for preventive health, targeting employees, because we thought that employers should take care of, because right now the market for employees, when it comes to employees health, right, most corporates, what they're giving is just a health insurance, right? But we felt that that is not enough. That is like, that's not really preventive health. It's after something happens, right? That's where the insurance comes into play. But then we realized that there is a big market where employers should tap in. Employers should engage their employees, which is employee wellness. And from the employer's point of view, right? It's a great opportunity, because everything else that we do in the corporate world, right? It's about profits, right? It's about company's profit. But there is nothing that the employee, of course, there is a paycheck that employee gets, but what about their primary thing, which is their health, right? So we realized that this will be a great opportunity. And then, of course, COVID came in, and then that made the market really big. And other areas like mental health and all those kinds of things also started to open up. But we started much before COVID, basically. Our product was built much before COVID.
So when we talk about the technology that goes behind all these men to in order to raise the awareness part, right? What I just wanted to know, how you are leveraging the tech part to introduce the mental health among the employees, or maybe in the ecosystem, and the wellness part in the ecosystem.
Yeah, so see, it's mental health. First of all, right, mental health is a very critical issue, and you know, we don't say that we can fully address it, because and it's also ultimately mental health issues. What we are doing when it comes to corporate health, right, or corporate employees, it's mostly due to usage of digital technologies, right? So it's a really difficult problem to solve through technology alone. But still, I think there are areas where we can focus, right? But we still think that this is such a important important and critical aspect of health that we always request employers to also take some professional help in this matter. But in terms of technology, right, what we can do is like so what is the importance, first of all, right? The importance is like um, what are the stressors and the challenges because of which the mental health issues are coming. One of the big problem is that this hybrid or remote work culture, right? And that is definitely creating an issue. When it comes to technology, right? I mean, the only way you can think of engaging your remote employees for anything, to be very honest, is through technology now, because they are remote. So there are things like mental health apps. So Vantage is one of them, of course. So we can look at some data-driven insights. There are also other dedicated mental health apps as well. We are partnered with one of those, and in our own product, right, we have created awareness by adding mindfulness sessions like meditations. Introducing. There is a mood tracker as well, so that an organization can track moods on a mass scale. So on a day-to-day level, right, they can see how the employees are behaving. Just a simple survey. Every morning, the message will pop up: "How is your mood today?" So yeah, those are kind of small interventions that we are doing when it comes to mental health. But what I have also seen, right? I mean, personally myself as well, there is this the mental health apps like Headspace and Calm, right? They have totally changed the market in terms of the meditation, right? So that is something that we are trying to bring into our own app, and creating an awareness that meditation is not very complex. It can be done. It can be started at least, right? It's a very easy way, which is like just listen to some meditation playbacks. So we have got some playbacks in our own app, so those can be played, and there are sessions like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. That's how you start. And once you understand, right, once you can focus, then maybe you can do it without those interventions, basically. But that's the idea. Our app's main idea is to make people aware. So, and mental health is another area where we're trying to focus and make sure that we make them aware.
Yeah, and I do agree with this point. And when you have mentioned about the efficiency part, right? So there was this recent. It was very in recent news, right? That this organization, I won't say the name, but this organization tracking the employees efficiency level percentage, and then they are working on those employees through multiple apps and whatnot, right? But on the other way around, if you will see, the technology has gone so far where we are tracking a person's efficiency by counting the number of blanks or maybe yawns or whatever it is, right? Moods and multiple things we are tracking, and there are multiple criteria matrices that these models follow, right? So but very amazed to see, and it's really by far we are coming so good now. Talking a little bit more from an employee perspective, that from the industry perspective, that has been the case for maybe 2 3 years, or maybe especially in the 1 year, the recent layoffs, right? What are your insight about the recent layoffs that have been occurring, and how an organization could really you know make the employee believe that there is still opportunity to explore, right? There is always a good opportunity to explore from a mental health perspective.
Yeah, so I think there are two reasons why the recent layoffs are, well, going to happen and has happened. One is, of course, COVID-19, right? During that time, there are a few companies or certain sectors, right, which probably thought that the world is going to be totally different from now on, right? Like people will never go back to their work and things like that. But that never happened, basically, right? For example, in Facebook, I think they probably thought metaverse is going to be the future, but unfortunately, that hasn't happened, and it doesn't look like it is going to happen in the very near future, where the metaverse will become the real thing, right? So technologies like that, these are very very futuristic technologies, and sometimes entrepreneurs, can go wrong, so they end up probably hiring a lot of people, but maybe that's not the case anymore. So of course there is some certain amount of reduction in certain companies like that. Zoom was another company which grew multifold during the COVID-19 time, but of course now probably the demand is not very high for a platform like Zoom, or maybe there are lots of other platforms, right? So that's another thing. So yeah, I mean, so that's the reason probably layoffs has happened in the recent times. The other reason probably is the new thing that has been happened in 23, which is the generative AI, right? So that is going to probably disrupt the job market a lot. And what I suspect is that there will be some job cuts, but those job cuts will be mostly around, it'll be more about reskilling employees. And I think what employers should probably try and do is like, there's no real need for example, in graphics design, right? There will be, lots of layoffs probably might happen, but then if we can reskill the designers to take help of AI generated images, then the situation becomes very different, right? So things like that I think will happen. But yeah, it's really heartening to think about how the employers have to take a decision like that, because personally we never had to take, from Vantage Circle's point of view, we never had to take that kind of decision. So, but I don't know, what kind of exact scenarios that happens, and why employers exactly have to do it and how they do it. But I think it's just business sometimes makes people to do that. So it's unfortunate. And yeah, the other thing that employers probably can do and has done also is like, once the layoff happens, right, they need to look after the employees ultimately, right? They give them a good amount of compensation and things like that. So those are also another areas that employers should look at.
Yeah, and as you are in this SaaS product space, I want to know, from your perspective, what do you think the major challenges you have encountered in all these, years, right? Building a successful SaaS product in the HR tech domain is not a cheese walk, right? So how do you feel? What has been your secret sauce of winning it?
Yeah, so our challenges are slightly different because first of all, right, we operate from Guwahati, so this is in northeast of India, and here there is this problem of not having enough skilled people, right? So there is the skill mobility is very low. So what we have to do is, right, we have to make sure that we take enough time for experimenting things or building up products, or going to market for something which we don't know. Because ultimately, right, we need to learn ourselves, and as well as we need to skill our people. So there is a time gap that we need to wait for anything to happen. So that's a problem that we have got. Just this is just because we operate from a little bit of a area where there is not enough people who are skilled in what we do. SaaS is not something that this part of the country is famous for. So, but other than that, I think normal problems of SaaS, which is like go to market, trying out different products, because we are also a multi-product company. So when we focused on 4 products, we found that Vantage Rewards products are doing very well, but then other products were getting not enough focus. But everything can be a billion-dollar company, we realized. So now we are focusing. Right now, we are focusing on every product. That's my primary goal in next year, which is to focus on Vantage Pulse and Vantage Fit, and make it like really big. Our Vantage Rewards products is doing really well. It's very well established. Yeah, and if I think of other problems, I think one of the big problem we had is sales and marketing, because both me and my co-founder, we come from a technical background, having very little knowledge about business and sales. So this is something that we have always been lacking. But marketing wise, we are doing okay now. But I think in the sales part, we are still we still need to learn a few things.
I do not 100% agree with this point, because you have a really did a really great fantastic job when you talk about marketing per se, right? If you see the number of the kind of reach that you're getting in the social platforms like LinkedIn and whatnot, right? That's incredible. Not it's not very easy for any kind of organization to reach those numbers that you are hitting right now, right? So really great efforts that you have putting in, right, sir? Now, from a future per se for the younger generation, or maybe not from the younger generation, for those people who are getting affected by multiple repercussions, how do you see, how do you foresee the hiring landscape of 2024?
Um, in terms of hiring, I think what will happen, right? Definitely, there will be more focus on. See, because of generative AI, right? I think I remember, back in in 90s actually. That's where I started my career, or even 2000, right? And those time when we used to write code, right? We used to write code around I/O, managing I/O. But we no longer have to worry about I/O operations anymore, right? Java came along and they changed the rule that you do not need to worry about I/O anymore. So similarly, I think because of generative AI, some of the changes in the development area will happen. So there are a lot of tools that are going to happen that will come. So writing simple code will not be a problem. Basically, I think the developers will need to worry more about the architectures, how things work, how things glue together, rather than writing specific code. So that's one area, but that needs experience, and that is one big problem. So I think the developers needs to start very, very, very young, and start understanding the basics, and then from there, right, you need to learn how things glues together. So that is one area. So learn about architectures, I think, from the development point of view, right? And yeah, I think there are other technologies like, I think there can be things like metaverse and all these things that might happen. And then in the marketing, right, I think there is a lot of sales and marketing in general, right? That is an area. There has been a lot of tools that have come up, but there is still, I think, when I work with sales and marketing a lot, and what I find is, right, there is still a lot of fragmentation, and I think there will be a lot of consolidations of small players, and make it big, and one or two tools. So we use HubSpot a lot. So learning about tools is going to be another important thing, I think, because as you can think of, right, if you have a problem, then probably there is a solution. A tool is there which will probably help you to make your life easier. So there are lots of tools now, lots of SaaS softwares are there. So learning about those SaaS softwares and tools will be another area I think employees should look for. Yeah, and another area that probably because of the mass, mass uh, penetration of SaaS software, and overall, right, we are depending a lot on the cloud, right? So security is becoming a concern. So I think I feel like there will be a lot of jobs in the security area. So that's another area that I think the jobs for security is not very glamorous, but I think it's very, very going to be well paid. So I think that's an area. So if anyone has got really good hand on understanding security issues, then they should really focus on that, and then make a great career out of it. I think these are a small, the diverse areas that I can think of that going to be. Another thing that is going to come is the sustainability and ESG, right? So there's a big trend that is going on around sustainability, right? And then there's ESG as well, which is environmental, social, and governance, right? So companies are trying to be carbon neutral. So there is a lot of focus. Countries are forcing companies to follow. We ourselves had to be carbon neutral, and we had to go through a certification process that was very intensive. So that's an area I think it's quite evolving. Definitely, that will also come in the very near future.
Wow, means to all our listeners, maybe you should pen down those really good points that Anjan sir has mentioned, because yeah, security and all these points, cloud and whatnot, right? These are going to be there in the market for a couple of next years, right? So working on the basics and architecture part would really help. Now talking about, from a, as you discussed about the hiring thing, right? I just wanted to know your views about the tools that are coming from a AI hiring perspective, not as a completely replacing humans perspective, but adding if there are 3 4 rounds of human taking the interview, conducting the interviews, now one layer or 2 layers has been eliminated by AI for some organizations. How do you see this from a industry leadership person?
Yeah, I think one thing that we have to understand, at least for India, right, that right now, I think you have got the highest number of employable people in India. Okay, because of the population density, um, and according to the statistics, and that we have got the highest number of employable people right now in India. Whether there are enough jobs or not, another issue. But in terms of employable people, right, you have got the highest number. So that means that against every job, right, there is a lot of competition. So there is no other option but for employers to look for automated tools. But having said that, right, so then there are also the other thing, right? If there are automated tools, then there are other tools which can, make your CV that will pass the automated tool, right? So that's also is going to come very soon, and employees will very soon find them and make their CVs according to them. So I don't think automated tools will completely replace the hiring process, or the recruitment will change a lot, because ultimately it's a very very human centric operation. So there will be humans who will always have to look at. But then understanding the tools, from the employee's point of view, and how they can bypass those, this is going to be very important. Because you want to get past those tools, make sure that you have the right keywords in your CV. So you need to really pass. You need to understand that there are probably tools going to be screened. Your CV is going to be screened. So then you need to know about those tools, right? So you need to have those right keywords, right way of writing. So that is going to be there. Okay. So it's about being smart about the whole thing. So employees only who are aware of this, right, they will only pass through, and that anyway happens, right? That doesn't change. But yeah, I think other than that, right, there will be changes in the data analytics area. There will be changes in the hiring process. Hopefully, um, sometimes the bias happens with automated tools. We hope that with AI kind of tools, right, we hope that we can minimize the bias. So yeah, I think those are the areas that probably AI can help. It will only augment the recruitment process. Okay, it's not going to replace it.
Yeah, absolutely. So augmentation we can really see some augmentation over there, right? Now, as we are reaching to the end of this podcast, I just wanted to know on what horizon, for Vantage Circle, in terms of maybe innovation or expansion, do you see, the from an innovation expansion perspective of from the realm of employee wellness, how do you see what could be the next innovation that can happen in this area?
Yeah, this is a very interesting area. Okay, right now, for example, right, there are so many wearables that are coming up, and these wearables, right, people are wearing it a lot in developed countries, right? Even in India, almost everyone is now wearing a smartwatch, and those smartwatches are becoming very, very valuable in terms of tracking various metrics like heart rate, your body temperature, your sleep, your stress level, all these things, right? I mean, I am wearing two smart watches right now, so I think that those are going to be very common. So and wearable technology will come. So that's an area that we think that we can investigate a lot, like to actually be able to track and improving human performance, because longevity, that is another area. How do you really improve your longevity? And as an employer, right, if you can help employees to tap into those areas, right, if you can show it, you really show that you care, just worried about their your own company's profit, but also employees health. So that's an area that I think we want to focus, and we want to help employers. Then I think there are areas in gamification and engagement. Uh, what we see, right, is in Vantage Circle that we have got about 95% engagement when it comes to our Fantasy app inside our own organization. So I think that engagement with the employer, right, that is a very crucial problem right now, because as you can see, employees. I mean, this is a very recent trend, right? Earlier, people used to stay for life in the job, but now, people tends to move a lot. So how do you really reduce this? So it's only going to happen if there is an emotional connect with the employer, right? From the employee's point of view. So how do you bring that emotional connect and all those areas, right? And that is part of probably wellness, bringing that empathy, bringing that wellness, bringing that, making sure that the leadership is aware what's happening inside the organization. So all those areas, right? How do you really make it happen? So these are the areas that we are focusing on right now.
Wow, that's a great centralized focus that you are keeping, and you are just broadening the pathway of your success. And it was lovely recording you and listening to your insights about the industry, about the generative AI forefront, and about the future that could be that could make a possible change in the industry, right? So thank you for joining for this podcast, and to all our listeners, we are coming up with multiple initiatives, offline, online initiatives, and we will keep inviting all these industry leaders to learn from them, to learn from their experiences, how they are building their product, and what have worked out for them and what could work for us, right? So keep listening to the podcast series, and we are coming up with another episode very soon. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, sir, for hosting. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshit, for having me. Nice one.